What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 2 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Fay Enchantress Immortal Empires campaign. Nope, Old World Classic campaign. And should I perhaps say Carcassonne instead of Fay Enchantress campaign? Because it's not like the Fay Enchantress is in charge of Carcassonne. I mean, I guess she's in a way somewhat in charge of Bretonnia, but anyway, Carcassonne has a duke, and I'm actually surprised that none of the mods actually gave a second legendary hero to Carcassonne as the Duke to be present here as well. But anyway, I digress. As we saw last time, we've taken our first province and a half, roughly, as we moved from Castle Carcassonne to whatever this place is, River Brigand, and have knocked out the first of the Greenskin tribes, which does make sense as Carcassonne is rather embroiled in fights against the Greenskins coming constantly down from the Arana Mountains, as we talked about last episode, and we'll be looking to wipe those guys out as lawfully appropriately so. But we do have to head towards the vampire counts of the Ghost of Glan Boreal and make sure that they don't annoy either us or our Wood Elven friends over there, which will be the goal for this particular episode. Now, in terms of what we got to do this turn, as somebody reminded me, we will want to untick the money collection in River Brigand for the additional growth, which is actually rising quite a bit. While you can get a ton of growth out of the peasant's duty here, it just feels like Realm of Chivalry is the way to go for the construction, especially in the sort of tier 2 sort of segment while we're building up. Maybe when we're looking to go towards tier 4, we can swap to the peasant's duty for a while, but I'll think about it. Also speaking of, we will, I don't know why I said speaking of, but let's level up. Let's grab Secrets of the Grail just for the additional Winds of Magic reserve capacity so that it can rise while we move, like so. I guess we could technically, we'll do it while we move. I was thinking we could move out of the settlement and channel right now, but it'll cost us like 200 gold or something per turn, and I'm not into that. What do we have here? Ooh, we got a lot of options. So we don't have any Brigand units yet, nor any missile units in this army, really. I'm going to go with a little bit of unit experience gain. While you're not fighting, I'm going to say the unit experience gain is probably the more worthy of our attention. And I guess in case you fight, we'll go for perfect balance. Alrighty, what about you? Ooh, yes, obviously increase mobility and tap the flagon. Ooh, a big damage resistance and decent duration, but very, very short range. So yeah, alright, fair enough. Tap the flagon. The merry connoisseur here. Grog goggles, liquid fortification, and tap the flagon. Fantastic. Alrighty, so you guys are good. Fay Enchantress and Sir Malric. We don't need training. We could save points for your unique lines. Wait. Maybe we should. I mean, you're already going to be strong on field. Let's just get you Blade Master for the quick 5 melee attack, but otherwise we'll save the points. You can do the same thing, I guess. Yeah, save points for rank 10. Although I don't know whether I actually want to keep this particular paladin in this army. I think there is a virtue, I don't remember what it was called, but there is a virtue that will enable us to get to armor aura for our peasants, which will definitely be needed in this particular army. Then the other thing I would like to do is go to, as I said last episode, summon the prophetess with the generous spirit. The upkeep 20% reduction for knights in particular is going to be very, very nice, and I'd like to get you on the field right now. And I guess we'll build the peasant mobs for the Fay Enchantress as well. Let's start with 3. 4 should be enough for now. Maybe we'll do 5. We'll see how much room we have for all that stuff. I'd also like to build a Knight Errant to... Wait. Can Knights Errant... Let me just see here. Can we go all the way from Knights Errant to Grail Guardian? We can. Okay. So the earlier we get one on field, the more likely we can do it that way. Alright, I like it. I like it a lot. The other thing is, I was thinking about maybe even grabbing this fella, the Virtue of Empathy guy, with the armor plus 10 for all non-knight units. It might be nice to have one of these lords to be ready to command an army with a decent amount of things like foot squires. Although right now it's a fair... Well, it's actually not that expensive right now. The thing is, in SFO, lords get more and more expensive over time. So I'm going to get you on field, and I'm going to get you off field. Like so. And that way we can save the money for your upkeep, but still maintain you. You have nearly reached the next location. We'll have to get a new caravan up and running, and I believe that's it for this particular turn. Oh, Renee, the new recruit. Let's get your inspiring presence, and I guess Route Marcher? You're probably going to command an army, so we're probably not going to go for 10th share and whatnot for you, since you won't be sitting around like some of the other lords will. Anyway, let's end the turn and proceed forward. Hopefully the orcs don't declare war on us immediately, because I would really like to take out the Ghost of Glan Boreal before heading down to the mountains, especially since the mountains are yellow territory. And there's also a decent argument to be made for quickly grabbing a hero and sending them north through Bretonnia to basically get vision of all the other dukedoms. A, to see what they're doing, and B, to get alliances with them all. Also, while the turn is ending real quick, engagement threshold-wise, for those that know what I'm talking about, I'd like to do perhaps a double episode, maybe sometime this week. We can't do one Thursday because of the curse of Thursday, obviously. So let's say Friday or Saturday. Basically, if we get a, let's say, 400 likes and 60 comments on every episode, and going towards whatever the weekend, Friday, whenever I decide to do it, we'll do a double episode on that day. So do keep that in mind. Drop those likes and comments below if you are interested. Anyway, caravan completed. Thank you. That's our first one. And ooh, they added a couple of knights. Huh. Yeah, so that army with the Imperial units, we should probably be sending them repeatedly to these guys. Okay, I'll try to figure it out. Oh, Fay Enchantress leveled up and has her mount. Huh, I'm actually not sure. Do we want her on the mount, or do we want her to sort of float menacingly? I do like that as well. And what the heck? Dragon Tooth copy? Income from post-battle loot and stuff. This is a nice weapon. Melee attack plus 25, eh? I like it. It's a little bit silly, but yeah, sure, why not? I feel slightly bad using this, but I mean, it's not that crazy. Oh, you know what? Let's use it on the Fay Enchantress for now. I'm willing to bet that the post-battle loot won't apply unless it's on a lord. And we'll swap it to one of the other lords, or possibly a hero later on. I just figure we want the additional melee attack for the peasant mobs to see them do as much damage as possible. Next up, caravans. So you're returning. Let's see what we got. Recruit a caravan. We have longbow tactician. Recruited with... so basically you're just a straight up Bretonian one, and then we have the... welcomed and Lothern one. I guess we could try to send you to the Wood Elves to have a mix of elves. The only elven faction here would be in Elf Town, and I don't believe we can actually send anybody to them, unfortunately. Which means we wouldn't be able to pick up other high elves, but maybe Wood Elves, possibly. Plus we gotta, I guess, you know, end up everywhere to get the items. Alright, so let's start with you, Welcome to Lothern. On field, and then just to double check, where can we send you? Kislev, Erengrad, Kidrins of Bar, Karazakarak, Barakavar, lots of dwarven locations, lots of Southern Realm locations as well, though I'm sure they'll get overrun by enemies fairly soon. And oh, Kingsglade, though this probably is somewhat a bad idea right now, because they'd have to go through enemy territory, wouldn't they? Yeah. Oh, wait, actually, we wouldn't be at war. Wait, how many turns does this take? 6 turns? Wait, so you'd... Oh, okay. I think not right now. Yeah, let's go to Toralithanal and increase this to the max. It's gonna cost a little bit of cash, but we'll get it back. Away you go. Alright, next up, Fay Enchantress. So let us send you to the Crusade stance. Actually, I lied. March stance. And start moving towards Embrun. We have a little bit of traveling to do. You guys don't have the ability to get your armies up and running yet, but you will eventually. We'll build some stuff up in the meantime, and speaking of, let's upgrade Saint Jacques first to get the spices, and then here we're waiting for one more turn. Let's grab another farm. And I suppose we could go through this. It will enable us to get another paladin should we want in our first knight errant. Much as I'd like to build the worship, the Grail Shrine, it is not really useful until tier 3 when we get access to Grail relics. So let us start with the Yeah, Knight building. And I guess we'll use Castle Carcassonne as our main military province. It kind of makes sense, because Ferrignac especially will give us more money out of the port bringing in cash. And lore-wise, Carcassonne is pretty militaristic, so kind of makes sense as well. Anyway, Renee, you can, I guess, stay here to transfer some stuff to the Fay Enchantress, who will actually have to transfer some stuff over to one of the others, but you know what, that's fine. Also, you guys go forward a little bit. Alright, that looks good. Buildings are good. Diplomacy check real quick. Aha! Empire Secessionists. Paravon wants to trade. Fair enough. We'll trade with Paravon. What else do we have here? Nobody else wants to trade. Middenland wants an alliance. Oh, 10 settlements. They're doing fairly decently. Marienburg, also a decent amount of money. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say prioritize Marienburg. If we can get a defensive alliance with them, we might be able to get Vision of Elftown without doing anything. And I would like that, basically. Non-aggression pact with Middenland. Thanks, Boris. And I'm actually tempted to go for the Empire Secessionist, even though it'll anger Karl just for the free money. These guys will die anyway. Yeah, you know, let's do it. Probably also wouldn't be the first time that Bretonnia, some Bretonian duke funds some Empire Secessionists to destabilize their rivals in some way, so, you know, makes sense. Anyway, I believe that's it. Got a little bit of cash out of it, which we can spend next turn. Fay Enchantress, you want to get Route Marcher, as we need to travel a fair bit now. Well, 2 turns at least now. Okay, you can't actually move this turn. Okay, there you go, slightly. 2 turns. Alright, let's end the turn and head over to Embrun. We should also double check who, if anyone, these guys are at war with. But also be wary of a sudden attack from the Slaneshi and of the Rapturous Excess. I'm hoping that Tehenoan wipes them out, but in previous campaigns, I've definitely seen Tehenoan struggle to deal with even that one little Slaneshi faction. And frankly, them getting strong will be a boon for the Skaven Blight Rats, for Scryer. And they are definitely going to be something of an issue for us as well, rather soon, I'd wager. Alrighty, and we are looking good for this particular turn. No attacks. A free Empire Captain. Not quite what I was looking for. Would be nice for the Empire army, but we'll take it. While resting at an inn, the caravan master is approached by a stranger claiming to be a famed adventurer who wishes to join the caravan's retinue. He will protect and fight, but his services come at a price, sure. Why not? Free Empire Captain. You, Enchantress, go here. Renee, I'm gonna have you follow, and you're Inez. You're only following until rank 10 because we need Arcane Wiz. Well, actually a little bit more, but anyway, you're not following as long. But anyway, you can go here. I would like you to transfer the peasant mobs. You, Bertrand, follow for a little while as well, mostly to gain the additional XP. And like so. Everybody's looking good. We will. Ooh, lots of building upgrades. Alrighty, I guess, okay, you, that's 3 for 3, let's do this. These 2 will keep, we'll actually probably transform into polearms to guard our artillery. The Wardens of Montfort won't stay in this army either, and the men-at-arms will become battle pilgrims. And we will have no archers in this army eventually, so they'll all get transferred out to one of the other lords. Alright, that makes sense. Next up, what do we have here? Alright, what I wanted to do, assuming that she didn't disappear, yeah, another generous spirit. I want to grab this among the trees prophetess, because the Allure of Beasts works really nicely with ranged armies, thanks to the ability to slow enemies down via the Curse of Anric here, and admittedly the Flock of Doomspam at range, so I think we will do that. Though admittedly you can also slow people down with the dwellers below here. But again, I don't want to overly rely on the Lore of Life, so we'll get you on field, and then we're not going to keep you on field, I think, because it'll be too much right now. So we'll get you Inspiring Presence and Route Marcher, but I'm not willing to pay another 360, so we will disband you. But we'll get you back later. Huh? It shall come to pass. Did I not disband you? Prophetess of Heavens. What?
What is your behest?
I'm confused.
We
Huh?
have met before.
Did I accidentally recruit
My
2?
magic is yours.
What the heck? Rank gained, army founded, Maeva LaGuardian. Okay, I must have misclicked something because I don't know what happened there. But whatever. You can be disbanded as well. And you're level 1. No, seriously, what the heck happened here? You're level 1. Odd. Alright, disband. I don't know what that was supposed to be. Also note that we can get the Bowmen of Bergerac in here, but we'll do so before we attack. More importantly, we have a little bit of Valor to spend, and we will go for A, the Barracks of Valor, and B, the Royal Stables of Valor, which will immediately give us access to, well, several things. You can immediately go into fields for the additional growth, and then you can immediately be built up. Lovely. We won't upgrade this because we can't afford it, but also because we want the construction reduction in this territory before anything else. Alright, looks good to me. Let's skip the rest of this. Are you at war with anybody? No. So you'll have your full armies ready to attack us. And you have trade goods iron. I don't see the iron here, but I do wonder whether the iron will have construction or recruitment, rather, reduction for any of our infantry units. Because if it does, we may have to move the infantry recruitment to that particular province. Though, admittedly, I would expect that the recruitment costs are probably not all that much for peasants in the first place, so it might not matter. And Carcassonne will still be our first province, so it'll most likely be the first to grow. Yeah, I think as soon as we get the hero capacity, before joining the army, we'll briefly send the paladin northward in order to identify settlements, or factions. And we'll also have to keep double-checking all of our allies in the diplomacy screen, as especially in the early game, we'd like to make a few more friends. Rapturous X has destroyed. Hey, that actually works out nicely for us. And what do we have here? We can get free cargo at a loss of chivalry. Huh. Fight Cathay. This is actually kind of interesting. What's the likelihood? How often will we ever be able to get to fight Cathay? I'm gonna say fairly rarely, so I think we should enjoy this while we can. Draw weapons. Alrighty, and this should be pretty interesting. Crane gunners and a couple of sky lanterns, which can be pretty darn devastating in SFO. My actual favorite unit in the Cathay roster when played in SFO. So yeah. Anyway, go SF go.
They dare hope to best the might of a unified Bretonnia!
Alrighty, here we go. Bretonnians together with High Elves fighting Cathayans. Come on, in the early game too. How can you not love the caravan system based off of that alone? Anyway, as we approach the enemy, of course, we'll be gunned down by the crane gunners in combination with the sky lanterns. Fortunately, the enemy army is probably too weak to hold back a Bretonnian lord, so we're going to send him directly at those crane gunners. Unfortunately, while the Jade Warriors, I'm sure, will easily and handily outfight our... They certainly flew up high from a downward sword strike. That was interesting. Anyway, they'll handily outfight our melee units of peasants. They are not going to have enough armor piercing to be a significant threat to our lord. Now, we have closed the distance with our Knights of the Realm, which looped around as cavalry does, crashing first through one unit of peasant spears and then right into the other one pinned by the unit of our own spearmen. Our High Elf spears have closed the distance, and together with our Bretonnian peasantry, will be keeping the enemy busy while we smash into their ranks from every direction we can with our Knights of the Realm. It's also nice to be using these Knights of the Realm earlier than we have them. And one of the things I absolutely love about Bretonnia, and I say every time I play them, is I love the colorful banners and heraldry that they've got all over their cav units. They're a blast to watch, and camouflage is the color of fear after all. So, you know. was about to say hoist your colors high, but that's a pirate thing, but whatever. That's what I'm going with. Pirate or not. Oh, I wonder if we can ally with Sartosa in this campaign. Granted, the game will probably want us to fight the Vampire Coast, but if we could get Sartosan mercenaries for our I am entranced by the Sky Lanterns falling to the ground. For our exile armies, that would be great. Anyway, Sky Lanterns are, well, falling out of the sky, and though the Jade Warriors still hold with their heavy armor, the less heavily armored peasants of the enemy have all been destroyed. A little bit of peasant on peasant action over here. I'm sure the knightly units are tremendously amused. So now only the Jade Warriors will be left. Our High Elven units did take a fair bit of damage on both flanks as well. Oh, I do like the Carcassonne colors, the sort of light blue and orange on the High Elves. Actually looks pretty good. Good for them. Anyway, the Sea Dragon's been talking too much trash over about supposed elven dominance over the seas, so this is why the High Elves are here to help. Anyway, the Magistrate is cut down by the Empire Captain, and with that, this caravan battle is ours. Very nice. Alrighty, very, very nice. I am once again very happy with the caravan mod, just by virtue of the fact that we get these lovely little extra battles, especially during the uneventful times between traveling the long distances in the old world mod, on top of using the additional extra free units from our Order Tide allies. Anyway, we took on Cathay. Now, I don't recognize this heraldry. It kind of looks like that of the Dissenter Lords of Jinshen. Hopefully this is just Cathay as in not a faction, but if it is the Dissenter Lords, I believe this will force a war declaration, so I guess we're about to find out. And no war declaration. Okay, good. Not an existing faction by the looks of it. Rapturous X is destroyed. Clan Scrat destroyed. Refugee influx. Wow. Minus 40 recruitment cost is great, but minus 10 control very much not. And with us not collecting income, we still get a -8 for 5 turns. Ouchies. Which is annoying because we can't actually recruit anything here. But what can you do? Ferignac, we will obviously go over the fields. Gotta get that growth going in. Hey, okay, so you... What? Oh, we don't have vision of you. Okay, well, I was thinking that we would, but alas, we did not. Build another farm. And I believe that's all we can build. Alright, you. Now are at war with the Broken Nose, which I take it as these guys, yes? No, this is the Neck Snappers. Huh. And you're at war with Broken Nose. I take it they're here. No, that's Skaven. Maybe they're here, up in the vaults? I was hoping we'd gain vision of them and thereby be allowed to, you know, ask to join the war, but I guess it wouldn't make sense because, you know, they're greenskins anyway. So we will simply declare war upon you. Like so. Wait, that's this turn, right? Just to double check. Okay. Got worried there for a second. Declare war? Like so. And hopefully we can take their territory before something like the Wood Elves moves in and takes it from us. Now, what do we have in terms of defenses at Embrun? Well, I got a decent pile of Graveguard, so certainly something to be at least somewhat concerned about. I'm actually tempted to say... Nah, I was about to say maybe the Fay Enchantress shouldn't lead, but we should be able to reach Summer's Fall Fort anyway, so I think we're fine. Alrighty, so Fay Enchantress, go into regular stance and attack Embrun. And since there are Graveguard, and 5-6 of them, including great weapons, this is actually worthy of our time in fighting. The Halberdier Graveguard are also not to be underestimated. Definitely seen them do lots of damage to Skull Crushers in my Scarbrand campaign and Chaos Knights, so yeah, not to be underestimated. You guys will reinforce and keep leeching XP for as long as you need to.
My sight is yours.
Like so, and like so. I moved them out of the way so that they wouldn't get in each other's way. And I believe that's everybody. Building-wise, just to double check we're okay. Diplomacy-wise, we are. We have Vizea here. I hope you're friendly with the... I don't like the fact that you have aversion to these guys, so I'm just going to not align with you for now. Looks like... Oh, Quenelle is very much in trouble. Huh, they're fighting the neck snappers. That's quite interesting. Actually, speaking of, does anybody know how the Fay Enchantress confederates? Because I don't. I don't see any confederation techs here. And these are not confederation techs. Maybe it's support religious errand? No, this is just these guys, and frankly, all of these factions don't exist in Old World anyway. None of these are Confederation techs. Maybe it's just dilemmas? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, or we won't. We'll see. Fay Enchantress, it is attacking time. Alrighty, here we go. Love to see the fluttering banners across our army. Once again, that mod was a very good choice. Good job, May. Anyway, should be a decent little fight, just thanks to those Graveguard, which with their heavy armor are going to be very difficult for anybody that isn't our units of... The leading rider has a different color scheme, and yet the banner is the black and white of the rest of the Wardens of Montfort. It's kind of interesting. I assume because it's using the rider for just a general mounted yeoman. Oh, and I guess since he can't hold a bow either. Does that mean that is an extra unit spawned, or is there actually only 59 units delivering damage? Does this lower their damage? Granted, I would do so or 79 rather, I would do so just to get the banner, but anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, heavily armored Graveguard are going to be difficult for our peasantry to do anything at all to. Even the Battle Pilgrims have very low armor-piercing damage, and you generally want either Foot Squires or Polearm Men-at-Arms for that sort of thing. But like I said, luckily we do have the Grail Knights for that particular purpose. And I'm sure they'll do just fine. And this Grail Knight can still hold his sword, which is nice. Unlike the Warden who can't hold a bow and therefore can only hold a spear. Anyway, the battle begins with, as usual, the Fellbats moving towards our lines of bow peasants. And unsurprisingly, I'm sure they'll do a little bit of damage before they are cut down. The rest of the enemy army, being very slow, is going to take a while to get to us, and therefore we will absolutely take advantage of it and ride through their ranks as much as possible. Ooh, I do like the purple color scheme on the Ghost of Glamboreal as well. Very nice. Some solid color schemes going in this particular campaign. Everything is so nice to see after that frickin' puke green of the Orthodoxy. Why is their color scheme puke green instead of gray? It's absolutely obnoxious. It's noxious and obnoxious. Anyway. Grail Knights are... didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to zoom in, the Grail Knights are having a good time, but it looks like the first of the enemy's faster moving elements have reached our battle lines. Crypt Ghouls hacking down droves of those poor little peasants, whacking away at the enemy with their shovels and their pitchforks. And frankly, in SFO, Crypt Ghouls have the lethal poison rather than regular poison, which means they will do plenty more damage just by applying it. Anyway, the Fay Enchantress moves to help her beloved peasant mobs. There we go, and she's a pretty darn solid infantry mincer, so her presence alone should allow her to do plenty of damage to these Crypt Ghouls while healing whatever units need be healed. More crypt ghouls have crashed into, wouldn't you know it, more of our peasant mobs, but they're here to both take damage and, well, do a little bit of damage. All the while, of course, our unit of Grail Knights continue to do great work, with 43,000 damage so far. At least one unit of enemy Graveguard is being kept away by our artillery fire, or has been kept away by our artillery fire, and the enemy lord, like the orc lords in previous battles, has been found and killed off by our paladins. Or paladins, I should say. There we go. Also, somebody in the Discord posted a picture of the mini of, or a mini, I guess, of Sir Amalric, and the mini has a mini Pope cat with candles on it on the horse as well, which I am just going to say is such a shame that we don't have on this horse, because it is absolutely magnificent. But anyway, what do we have here? Now that the enemy lord is dead, we can move back to our main line, where, of course, the Grail Knights continue now to charge through. And by the looks of it, with the fall of the enemy vampiress leading the enemy army, the battle is very nearly ours. We have made our way forward with the merry men. Guy Legros is attempting to whack away at the enemy. Hopefully nobody accidentally spears that barrel, or that keg rather, as the loss of the ale would be catastrophic. There we go, and another decisive victory for the Fay Enchantress's army. And you gotta admit, Bretonian armies are very fun to watch. I think that before Archaon and before Thorgrim, who were our top sort of performing campaigns on the channel, Lewin was actually the best one, and was only overtaken by those two. And the funny thing about that is, of course, that, you know, this was Bretonnia a while ago, which I guess was missing a fair bit of the stuff, and the stuff that's in this rework from SFO and all that. So yeah, it just goes to show how entertaining all the epic cavalry charges are. Anyway. Alrighty, there we go. No problem at all. Obviously, it took a while for the peasants to grind the enemy, well, grind their bones to dust, but eventually the numbers told. And of course, the Grail Guardians doing massive amounts of damage, as they have been with every single fight, unsurprisingly. Probably one of the nastiest units to start a campaign with in the starting army. But it does make sense for the Fay Enchantress. Anyway, decisive victory for us, and we will occupy the place, completing this province, and thereby allowing us to go into Realm of Chivalry. I guess we'll wait the turn, because we'll want to upgrade the town here ASAP, and then build the Grail Chapel, or the Shrine of, the Grail Chapel, in order to get access to, at the very least, the Grail Relics. Most likely we'll just evolve some of these peasants into battle pilgrims, though again, I would like to actually build some battle pilgrims with the bonus 10 armor if we can get it. Anyway, Savior. Lord's army gains a 10% speed just by reinforcing. Oh, wow. That is important. That is very important. This means we'll need to try to have the Fay Enchantress reinforce a bunch. It's a really good trait. Alright, I gotta remember that. Province Carcassonne secured. We are saving the money on Embrun. Yeah, 2,000. I'd rather have the 4,000. And I believe that's all we can do this turn. And I think Fay Enchantress wants to save the rest of her points for her unique line now. And the same thing can be said of all of you, to be perfectly frank. With the possible exception of you, but you don't really need anything until you actually have units, so we're gonna be okay, at least for now. Alright, that looks good to me. Let us check diplomacy. I want to see if we found any of those wood elves, and we have the Continental Exarchate in vision now. But nothing interesting. Also, do these guys have military presence? Yes, they do, so there should be an army here somewhere. And apparently iron here somewhere as well. All right, let's end the turn. Building upgrade available, we're skipping. Improved construction, more construction reduction, good. And, ooh, hello, 10% upkeep for infantry. In the early game, we're a little bit more infantry heavy than knight heavy, so that's probably a good choice. Though we do have to go through the improved agricultural tools to do it, which is kind of upkeep for peasant mobs, but peasant mobs are basically free anyway, so that hardly matters. Ooh, plus 40%. Farm income, that is good for early game, and same with the improved loom technology, and same with the weaving apprenticeships. All right, so there's some really good stuff in the early game for this. End turn. You know what I should have done? I should have checked if we could level the caravan. I feel like we could. And Orion, oh, this dukedom will be gone very soon, won't it? I figured that they might peace out, but apparently that's not happening. And as the Fay Enchantress, we probably shouldn't wipe them out. Oh, this is how we gain vision of Middenland. We had a Middenland caravan moving around, eh? Huh, that's interesting. I wonder how it changes the metagame. Ghost of Glen Boreal, peace treaty now. I assume they will move their main stack towards the settlement there. I think we won't reinforce with the Fay Enchantress and just have her directly attack it, at least for this one. Because it'll be the major fight against them. Construction cost reduction for buildings, good. Let us head towards... Tempted by the research rate, but it is only 10%. The upkeep reduction via irrigation ditches will probably allow us to field a second army. Especially by virtue of the cheapness of the, or relative cheapness, I should say, of the peasantry. And I guess we have to go through improved agricultural tools to go to water pumps anyway. The only thing that also tempts me is to grab the bonus chivalry per turn out of these. And maybe even the 100 chivalry per turn out of this. We get the massive relations with wood elves increase, the human relations increase, this dwarf relations increase. This will allow us to build alliances. They do take a bit though. Yeah, I'm going to say start with the irrigation ditches, and then we'll see about the rest. Alrighty, next up, Castle Carcassonne with the reductions, 3.2k, saved 800 gold on that, pretty good. We'll also want to start building up more farms for the growth. Out of curiosity, you can make 425 now, but we can't do anything right now while it's costing us cash. So, yeah, or with the public order rather. Now, Talzin, you want a non-aggression pact? We will do this. We will definitely want access to wood elven units. Alongi, yes, we will do this. And yeah, okay, B188. Just want to make friends with everybody that we can while we can. Especially in the early game, because we don't have the reductions from being a large empire that everybody will get annoyed by the whole strategic threat thing. Alright, and what am I seeing here? There are... Our next snap is here. Rock Eaters. Oh, I would actually like some Ogre allies, since we're looking to build some Brigand and some Exile armies, eventually. We'll probably want some ogres and a few other things. Ooh, another shepherd. Good. Probably get a few more of those if we can. Gotta keep an eye out for more shepherds. As they'll act as our bolstered leadership, eh? Oh, actually, that reminds me. One more turn. Okay. Nothing other than that. So, Fay Enchantress, you will besiege Summer's Fall Fort, and aha! We got a full stack here. Oh, I like this. This means most likely they will sally out and attack us. Yeah, alright. We got ourselves a proper fight. Ooh, a Vargulf. Okay.
Destroy them.
And the Crusade stance, no thank you. Alrighty, the rest of you can reinforce, and I guess you're gonna have to go into some kind of stance so you don't suffer attrition, though a turn of attrition probably won't make much of a difference anyway. You go here, and I guess for this fight, I was gonna get the Bowmen of Bergerac, but unfortunately we can't afford them unless we cancel the town, or say this. Get them and then use the post-battle loot to recruit them afterwards. Yes, good, Ruinous. Get them on field. I want to see what they're like. And we'll move you in to reinforce. You still suffer attrition in the Crusade stance, right? You do. So we have to go into raiding, but it's minus 10 leadership per turn, and I don't think I want this. And it's also minus... yeah, because then we'd also be raiding, technically speaking, our own territory if we were to take it, which we very well might. So let's just ignore it for now. Let us get then... Weapon strength, I'm going to say expert spotter's eye. This is all good, but we have to wait until rank 10 for it. Yeah, why not? It affects allies, so you'll be able to help those units out. You... Melee attack, I'm going to say target practice for the missile troops since we have them in this army now, and then you can't increase mobility, so I guess we'll grab fanaticism and... yeah, alright. Enchantress, you are saving your points. I think everybody else is saving your points. I really would like to get Life Bloom, but it's probably more important than we grab Lady of the Land as fast as possible for the additional growth. And you guys are all saving your points as well, though Replenish Troops has to take priority. I guess you can grab Training. Alright, I believe that's all we can do, so we should end the turn like this and presumably get attacked. Caravan, you've got 3 more turns journey time, and I guess nothing to be built unless we can get the spice market instead. And then just build both of the farms next turn at the same time. Alright, I'll take it. What's the money income here? 390? Not all that much, I think not worth it at this time. It will very soon be, though, because we're running out of cash. End turn. Alright, Kaspar Barakmir. Frankly, we could have just attacked and used our artillery to break through the walls. I just find that field battles are a lot more entertaining to watch and to play than siege battles are, so when possible I try to besiege the enemies instead. Especially when we know that they will sally out, considering the sheer giant pile of peasantry that we have that make up our army. If I didn't move Bertrand too far away. Looks kind of far from this distance, but the game kind of zoomed out. And... Ghost of Glanboreal, there you are. You won't sally? Oh, you pathetic coward. Oh, for the love... Okay, I am shocked by this, but I really thought that they would. Fair enough. Non-aggression pact, not right now. Again, I don't know if they'll die, and I don't know if they'll remain friendly with the lizards, so yeah, I'd really rather the lizards have those yellow mountains. Empire Secession's destroyed, Manan's Blades destroyed, ready for duty, Franciscus de Meilleur. Oh right, I do know who you are, I lied. Next. Not the virtue I wanted. Oh, and we're at 2 out of 2, because I guess Mr. Amara counts as one. Alright, well... I guess we're going in the old-fashioned way. Still on Asher, you giggle. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Though the enemy may not have sallied out, it means that we get to witness a storming of the enemy walls. We have many peasant lives that we can spend by sending them in the towers, and all 4 of our peasant mobs are currently in the siege towers to absorb damage before the men-at-arms make their way up there. Plus, it's nice to see the occasional sort of regular-looking siege tower that the Bretonnia have, as opposed to all the crazy nonsense towers of a lot of the other factions. Alright, plus I guess it'll be a very nice combined assault as we go through the gate, as we go on top of the walls, as we hose down the walls with artillery and range fire, and definitely the kind of siege that I enjoy. So, should be pretty fun. Also, while we're waiting for the towers to sort of make their way forward together with the ram, one quick note for those who don't know or may not have been following the Cornate campaign. Scarbrand's campaign has been concluded as of today, and those who stopped following it, I do suggest checking out the 2 finale episodes. As for finales, I generally do a lot of interesting big battles, and you don't have to follow the entire campaign to watch the best fights of the campaign, as it were. So, just a reminder. Anyway, the walls are nearly, or the towers are nearly upon the walls, and the same with the gate. Our Grail Knights and our heroes maybe could have done something about the gate, but why bother? And ooh, it does look like this is one of those rare times where the AI is clever enough to send its flyers to harass us. So, 4 Fellbats are coming out, and we were just starting to get our range units into position to fire sort of parallel to the wall. But it looks like the Fellbats will reach them. This also means that we're going to need the Grail Knights to respond, as they're our only fast-moving unit that isn't a single entity in this particular army. And I'm going to crash into those bats. And fortunately for us, the bats are fragile and tiny enough with their mass that you can crash through them just like you can with regular infantry. And the first unit of bats immediately loses about 70% of its HP to the charge of the Grail Knights. Though they are Fellbats, and, well, that's the thing about them. The enemy pretty much always has more, and we've got another unit coming in. I think there was one more unit somewhere as well. Ah, yes. This one has landed, or these two, rather, have landed upon our artillery. But we have been keeping our units of spearmen-at-arms there to protect the Blessed Field Trebuchet, and between their presence as well as that of the newly arrived damsel, or prophetess, rather, here, they should be able to deal with this pile of bats just fine. In the meantime, while we were busy with the bats, the towers have arrived and disgorged their cargo of gigantic piles of peasant mobs. So it'll be piles of skeletons versus piles of peasants on top of the walls. And I'm actually interested to see whether the peasant mobs can outfight the skeleton warriors, who have massively better stats in many ways, but thanks to the massive amount of additional melee attack the peasant mobs have under the Fay Enchantress, they should be able to do some damage and knock a few of those skelly boys out. Not so much against the Graveguard, though, as some great weapon-wielding Graveguard make their way up on top of the walls as well. But you know, fair enough. Looks like a few of the enemies have actually decided to sally out of the gate as well, just as the Holy Wardens of La Maison Tal started to make their way forward. But that's nice, as their blessed blades, I guess, will be able to cut down some crypt ghouls outside of the gate. And once again, this is exactly the kind of siege I appreciate, with all of this happening at once. Enemies sallying out with both infantry as well as flyers. We got our range units attacking the walls, and, well, now actually having to reposition as the enemy has taken their towers, and towers are a lot stronger in SFO. And within the couple of seconds have done about 50% of damage to one of the peasant bows. Looks like a decent amount of our units of peasant mobs are suffering. Again, fighting those Great Weapon Graveguard is not going to go well for them, but that's alright, as they've absorbed some damage, and men-at-arms are making their way up onto the walls now. Our other heroes, well, Bertrand the Brigand is going to help the peasant mobs out, rather than the nobles fighting down below. Which makes sense. It's all lorefully accurate. Our Grail Knights, together with our Paladins, have been making their way through the gate, though unfortunately pathing in this game is atrocious, and I've been trying to get the frickin' Battle Pilgrims to go through the wide open gate, but they're absolutely refusing to, and are just trying to walk into the tower as well. I find it kind of silly that the devs haven't made like a sort of action, whereas you click on the gate in the same way that you click on a tower, and units are automatically, you know, thusly hunted through the gate, or tried to go through the gate. You know what I mean. Anyway, the peasant mobs are being joined by more men-at-arms now on the walls. Though, with the enemy having sent some crypt ghouls up here, that certainly makes it a fair bit more dangerous for the poor little peasants, as that's a lot of lethal poison damage that they'll most likely be taking. And I'm sure they'll be taking plenty of friendly fire as well as the arrows come down. As some of you have pointed out in the previous episode, the Blessed Field Trebuchets won't hurt our own units, so we're free to fire upon the walls where our units are fighting, but our archers will certainly kill peasants. How are we doing otherwise? The Vargulf is still trying to block off the gate and is actually doing a fairly good job of it. We're going to try our best to surround the Vargulf with the Paladins and the Grail Knights, who are fighting in by far the most dangerous position on the field, and also obviously our horse units can't make their way up those stairs or into those towers. And being surrounded by the Vargulf as well as a bunch of Graveguard with halberds is definitely a threat even to the Grail Knights, so we will have to keep the heals up on them from the Fay Enchantress. We do have a little bit of range support, however, coming down upon the enemy, and ooh, looks like more of the peasant mobs are being sent off the walls, and men-at-arms with their terrible leadership are breaking with 95% of their HP remaining. But what do you expect from the peasants? We'll eventually have the Grail relics in this army, and that'll help by giving them immunity to psychology, as well as a little bit of extra leadership. A little chevron-looking flag, but I think that's like a... I don't know, it's like a chevron with a fleur-de-lis, or is it supposed to be like the roof of a Bretonnian chapel, maybe? Kind of hard to say. I suppose it doesn't really matter much. What does matter is that the bounce power has shifted to about 90% in our favor now. The Vargulf is on the way out with about 10, 15 maybe percent HP remaining. And the fight on the walls as yet continues, but the enemy numbers are beginning to dwindle. Over on this side, cut down, I'm sure, by the men-at-arms, and then over on this side, where the battle pilgrims have joined Bertrand the Brigand and his merry men against the much tougher Graveguard. And of course the arrows keep thunking into the enemy's backs now that we have been able to once again reposition our archers, since there are no longer any enemies on these towers to keep them firing. With the Vargulf's fall, it looks like we are safe to move the Grail Knights away. I don't think these zombies or even the Graveguard are a real threat to our remaining single entities, certainly not the Paladins. So a couple more charges through them, and then we can move away to hunt down the enemy lord and whatever coterie of skeletons or Graveguard remain as his personal guard. Huh, nice shot from the trebuchet. Did it fire over the gate or through the gate? I suppose it doesn't matter, but it was good. Alright, we do have Silverhaw on the mount of the Fay Enchantress here. I still haven't decided whether I prefer her on the mount or on foot. Well, technically she flies, so she's never on foot. I wonder if that helps her be a powerful caster if she's constantly floating like that, because the Slan do that so that they don't touch the Chaos-corrupted Earth, as it interferes with their casting. Certainly something to think about. What's she doing, by the way? 486 kills, good lord. Yeah, and again, let's see, she's got the Mist of the Lady, which is a mini Mortis Engine effect. Not a crazy amount of damage, but a solid damage reduction melee attack. -8 on top of the Mortis Engine effect. We've got to keep in mind that we have that to combine perhaps with Glittering Scales and whatever other melee attack debuffs we can get, because I'm sure that would be very helpful to the peasant mobs who have effectively no melee defense and their survival. Anyway. The lady and Amalric, her champion, Fay Enchantress rather, have made their way through the gate and pretty much destroyed everything there. I believe the enemy lord has at this point been found, surrounded, and killed by the Grail Knights, who in turn have been surrounded by the remnants of his Graveguard and skeleton warriors, but I do believe the battle is pretty much ours, as the fall of the Necromancer has begun the disintegration of the enemy. Now it's just a matter of time. And of watching the Grail Knights do a little bit more work, as the peasants have also taken the walls, with many a loss, I'd wager, but taken the walls nonetheless. And, ooh yeah, pathing. See how these guys just sort of crashed into the building, and now they're going to have a difficult time moving because they're sort of semi-stuck. But they'll get there eventually. Just going to have to reposition them. Alright, yeah, I just remember them being stuck. There we go. to move them away from the sort of side of those buildings, and in fact, we'll leave those units to disintegrate as we head up the ramp to find the very last of the skeleton units up here. Like so. Beautiful little charge. And there's a zombie unit directly behind them. But they're all melting away. And yeah, I gotta remember that these guys have Grail Banishment on them as well. It would be really nice if we could get another Trickster's Shard for the Fay Enchantress. Ooh, although I gotta double check if she herself, if any of her items are taking the same slot, I guess. If they are, then we'll maybe have a Paladin lead, or maybe Malric himself lead these guys with another Trickster Shard for even more damage reductions. Since we found out that Archaon is going to have maximum ward save, or 90 ward save, or whatever it is, until he's weakened by various means, the combination of the, during the End Times DLC, or with his End Times Chaos Invasion scenario, just another Trickster Shard plus a unit of Grail Knights will have that amount of ward save, so maybe if you take a proper Bretonnian force to assassinate Archie at the start of his invasion, you wouldn't even need to wait for his ward save to disappear. Anyway, with that, the decisive victory is ours, and a glorious siege will end the probably main strength of the Ghost of Glan Boreal. Alright, you know what? I'm glad they didn't sally out and attack, because that was a proper siege, and we got to have the opportunity to send hundreds of peasants to their deaths. On top of the walls, led by the peasant mobs, who obviously took the brunt of the damage, but at least one of them dished it out as well with 13k damage. Very solid. That 40 melee attack bonus from the Enchantress is working quite nicely for them. Enchantress, speaking of herself, 519 kills and 54,000 damage. Considering the fact that she did not cast a single damaging spell over the course of the battle, only heals, it's pretty darn good. She looks to be a solid infantry mincer, though admittedly... Actually, I was about to say some of the enemies melted away, so the number might have been added to her tally, but I'm not entirely sure. Solid 30k damage out of Sir Malric as well, thanks to his little Bane of the Undead aura. And of course, 110,000 damage and 700 kills for the Grail Knights, who are definitely already making a name for themselves. Occupy. And ooh, free smuggler, I'll take it. And a court jester, very nice. Ranked up in the high corruption territory. And another smuggler and another jester. This will be nice should we need to fight any of these Slaaneshi soon. Now, I don't usually... wait a moment. I want to see something here. You have the horse building, but I think... this will give us 4 unit capacity. I'm not sure. I'm going to get rid of this for now, and I may bring it back later. We can soon, I think, uncollect the or start collecting income here if we build the wine, so I think we'll prioritize that. We need 48 valor for this. We don't actually want the Grail Knights and the Pegasus Knights necessarily right now. I do like the 40% recruitment cost reduction, and the men-at-arms and longbows will be certainly helpful to an upcoming army. I will consider it. What was I starting to say? Oh, right. I don't usually name units myself, but I'm going to make the exception. I'm going to name these Grail Knights myself here. You will be the end is nay. Lovely. And as for your guys' name suggestions, so far we only have peasants, and all of these peasants will, in theory, in the main stack, be replaced once we have the armory to rebuild them at, with higher armor. So we'll do that in a little bit, as in not now. Fortunately, due to the massive amount of growth Bretonnia seems to have, it seems to be something we can do pretty quick. Oh wow, we could have actually taken both if we had somebody else besiege. Go figure. Oh well. Yeah, you're gonna have to go into an encamp stance, and then you are going to have to go into an encamp stance. And then you are going to have to go into
seen
a camp
your
stance.
Of course.
I'm going to assume there isn't another army that can punish us for this. And oh, wow, this is a yellow territory. We do indeed have the recruitment cost reduction for steel per turn. What is steel here? Steel? Oh, whatever. I don't know what this is from. Is it just a regular trade good, or is it a currency that gives us something? 45 ingots versus just steel plus 30. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. Anyway, what I do know is that, yeah, this is recruitment cost reduction for peasant at arms with swords, battle pilgrims, and foot squires. So we will maybe want to build another military structure here, but I still maintain that we should have one at Carcassonne first, and then we'll see. Especially since it's going to take time to build this up, especially as this is a yellow territory. Anyway, anything else we need to do? So you guys are good. You're waiting for rank 10. You're waiting for rank 10. Everybody's waiting for rank 10, so no need to upgrade anybody. But there may be buildings that we want to build. Either we upgrade Embrun, or... public order is still negative here for how many more turns? 3 more turns? Good lord. I guess we could keep upgrading the farms. And then here, in addition to the farm, what do we want to do? We will want chapels of the ladies most likely everywhere, although, well, yeah, the plus 10 income from all adjacent provinces would be quite nice. Though right now, we wouldn't get enough of a bonus out of it, I think, for it to be worth it over a tailor and just getting more money. But we can't build tailors until we have the tavern in our main settlement, because we won't have the public order to be able to support it. At least not right now. Apothecary gives us upkeep reduction for non-knights faction-wide, eh? That's pretty interesting. And then there is the Outlaws camp, which we could get temporarily. Honestly, none of this jumps out to me. I'm more inclined to just build up the spices for now. Diplomacy check, since it's a new turn. Despite the construction of the spices, nobody new wants to trade. Well, isn't that a shame? And these guys have 2 settlements, so they're on their way out. Alrighty, let's skip. Let's end the turn. We'll use the Fay Enchantress to reinforce the fights here at Turin and Salignac-la-Rouge, because we will want to try to pick her up that savior trait. And I really got to remember that that savior trait exists for any of our future lords. Man, I was hoping that we'd get additional capacity to send the paladins out, but I guess we'll have a friar capacity maybe as soon as we build that Grail Chapel, so we'll send the friar north. Though I will want at least 1 friar with the battle pilgrims, because it does make sense. And, oh, these are the guys that they were at war with. Huh. If they come around, we should attack them. Though, if they're within range, they could attack us should we choose to move away from Turin and go to Salignac and try to take both in 1 turn. I guess we'll see. Alright, let me just see this. Alright, so what is this? Gain unit experience at the cost of moving this turn. Yeah, sure, 2000 XP. Oh, I never know whether this is... Nah, just do it, whatever. It's all good. Hello, wait, Confederation, Kuhan, and Langui. Yeah, so this is what I was expecting, that Kuhan would start confederating other Bretonnian factions. And gain 30 units for another Razor Standard. Yes, please. Do you wish the ladies' favor? So yeah, I'm not... Ooh, trade agreement, yes. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to go about with the confederations with those guys, but I guess we'll see. Near to that trade agreement with Talzin, which would be nice. We're not, obviously not going to declare war on Quinel. How much money do you want for this? 2.2k? No. That is not happening. Ramatep Dynasty. Ah, they've taken Chateau Levar. That actually works nicely for us, since we won't have to attack the fort. We'll see how well they do against the next snappers, but we'll attack them ourselves. Probably turn towards the Ramatep Dynasty later on as well. Frankly, not that much later on. But anyway. Fay Enchantress. So from here, you cannot reach Salignac-la-Rouge in either stance. So you can move outside of Turin here.
Through forest and glade.
We'll have you... Ah, there's a little... Ooh, there's 2 little armies here. Oh, I wonder if... I wonder if you'll be able to reach Summer's Fall Fort. It's reasonably well defended. Alrighty. I'm gonna say we'll do this. Renee... Well, It consumes campaign movement range. I wonder whether it's lying or not. You know what? Renee, I'm going to put you in here temporarily. Inez, or actually Bertrand would be the better choice here.
Your coming was foretold.
We'll do this. Like so. Then Inez will reinforce together with the Fay Enchantress. And then both of them will, or the Fay Enchantress will start on picking up them traits. Alright. Like so. Medium. Alright. Because we have a giant pile of peasants, the oh, what? Inez is not reinforcing. Huh? Looks to be close enough, but apparently not. Well then. Go into regular stance and get a little bit closer. Still close victory. Oh, I don't like that. Can you go into encamp stance? No, you cannot. I guess we fight this. It's going to be a small battle, but I guess we fight it just because I don't want the additional casualties on you. Because otherwise, one of these guys would besiege Turin and then the other one would attack us. So we need to preserve units here. Yeah, since we can't do anything about the attrition and nothing else here will make us immune to attrition with the exception of besieging or raiding our own territory, which I don't like very much. Though on the other hand, this is such a small battle. You know what, maybe we will raid our own territory. It's only a turn. Uncollect the income. Keep the training field while we may potentially be attacked. Then we will reinforce. We'll take the damage, but we'll heal anyway, and then we'll occupy. Like so. Alright, he won't get Savior immediately, but with Sir Amalric present and the replenished troops that he has, we're looking okay. Alright, not at rank 10 yet. Do you have Savior? You do, so we need to try to get Savior on Renee, who's actually going to be a proper lord eventually. Yes. Alrighty. Otherwise, we're looking okay. Spend a little bit of cash at... yes, let's get the orchards at Embrun so that this place can start collecting money soon. Frankly, we should upgrade the village here in order to be able to upgrade it sooner. Yeah, let's do that. And then River Brienne. 2 more turns of this. I'm going to ignore these for now. We don't get Friar capacity at tier 2. We do get it at tier 3, so we could also stand to build a few Grail chapels here, but I think River Brienne is going to be just all money making, by and large. And with a tavern, we should be able to support tailors as well for the additional cash. You know what? Maybe even start building the tailor. All money. Alrighty, even if we can't build the support building, that will increase the cash that we gain out of them. Now, I did check the... Oh, hello. No, I did not. Modron.
Hail, men of Bretonnia. What word from the lady?
Alright. Non-aggression pact, just this for now. Eventually, they'll all ask for trade agreements, I hope. And I believe that's it.
Savior.
Yes. Alrighty. Skip building in the turn. Let's see what these guys do, if anything. We are damaged, so they may try to actually attack us. Oh, I guess the conquest of this brought the vampiric corruption down enough so that we didn't actually need to raid. Go figure. But I suppose the additional character XP and unit XP gain won't go to waste. Now, will these von Senkenhoff brothers... I wonder if that's on purpose or whether that is a happy coincidence. I wonder whether they'll return to Salignac-La Rouge in order to defend against our attack of their final settlement. Huh. A battle victory there. Somebody apparently attacked and then were destroyed at Salignac. I wonder if it has defensive structures. And... Huh. Well, that's interesting. Leopold Gorst moves to Summersfall Fort and... Tancred, please, we're busy. Military, how about you confederate instead of getting killed by Orion? How about that? Did you ever think of that? No. You only think of yourself. Ready for duty? Ready for duty, and our additional growth is now gone as... Hey, free valet. No. This should go to the Fay Enchantress. Pegasus for Louis de Meilleur. Yeah, whatever. Let's see. You can have the valet. Alright. Then, we have to pick one of these, and yeah, Vision of Magic cannot be performed because it is apparently... So we got 13 turns, so I guess we'll pick this again, and then we'll have to pick the... Wait. Which one did we pick? Anger of the Fay. So peaceful blessings are disabled, meaning Vision of Magic is a peaceful blessing, and presumably Vision of Future is a anger blessing? Dream of the Future Vengeance seems fine. Go figure. Do we actually want to bother popping any of these? Well, I guess we can, since we only miss one turn, effectively. All enemies have lowered melee damage by 10%. All enemies have lowered missile weapon range by 20% during battles versus wins a magic power reserve and a massive amount of spell resistance for... Oh, only rank 7. I'm gonna say Dream of Hope. Let's go with that. Alrighty, then. We are able to reach both of them, though I am concerned by... I wonder if you'll run or whether you'll fight. I guess we're about to find out. I'm really tempted to try to go after Leopold here. We would be able to sally out, but we wouldn't be able to rely on our reinforcements. But I'll think about it for next turn. For now... Oh. Bertrand, we'll have you lead the charge. We'll have Fay Enchantress reinforce. Like so. Like so. And Inez also reinforce, of course. Okay. Please. Thank you. Alright. Encamp. And... do we want to level for this? Basic training is nice. Let's grab basic training at least. Weapon strength, no, you're also gonna save for rank 10, I think. And then you are getting close to rank 10, but not quite there. Same for you. Gotta get that arcane wisdom and muster the farm hands. Go for this. Let's hope that they fight. They will fight. Beautiful. All right. Well. This should be fun. Go. Alright, here we go. I guess I was wrong about this, or about the siege rather being the very last bit of strength that this faction had to muster, because we still have a fair few enemies to contend with. And thanks to the defenses available in the, well, not the defensive structure, but the garrison available to the enemy, we'll have some crypt hulks to contend with. 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Crypt Hulks. That's actually fantastic. If the AI understood how to play the undead at all and properly interspersed those Crypt Hulks together with their corpse carts within the center of their formation of zombies and skeletons to let them apply their lethal poison and their splash damaging, armor piercing damage and all that, they would probably be able to make make a heck of a last stand here. But alas for the AI, it isn't really capable of understanding how to properly use those units. Anyway, we have the first of the Merry Men, not the Harry Moe, but the Bowmen of Bergerac to join Bertrand the Brigand here. And these guys, of course, will later be joined by the Harry Moe. It's just that we need, I think, a tier 4 structure to build them, so we'll have to content ourselves with the basic variants of Brigands at first. And I think, unlike our main stacks units, we're probably not going to bother waiting for the armor increase structure for the Brigands. I mean, they're Brigands, right? They'll make do with what they can find, or what they can loot off the dead and whatnot. There doesn't feel... there isn't any need, I think, for them to be recruited where there's bonus armor out of Carcassonne itself. Anyway, looks like we are doing a little bit of damage here. Felbats and Skeleton Warriors hurt, but we're backing off now as our main stack has arrived. And we'll fight all the enemy together. Though I'm sure the Merry Men will probably melt away into the forest rather than fighting together with all of these paladins. Do they have the outlaw thing as well? They do. So friendly knight units in range causes the immunity to psychology and leadership a reduction hex. Certainly something to keep in mind. Not that it matters over much for knightly units. Anyway, looks like the first of the enemy Crypt Hulks have closed the distance. And the Fay Enchantress will fight back-to-back with her paladins and the Prophet. Okay, actually the Prophetess shouldn't be here. She's going to get damaged. Nice thing about a healing hero or lord in the Fay Enchantress here is also the fact that we don't necessarily have to use any kind of healing items on our heroes and can use other ones instead. Ooh, the first charge of the Grail Knights in this particular battle sees them damage some Crypt Hulks and do a little bit of damage to the Corpse Guard before heading through the other units. We're just trying to disrupt them and damage them before they reach our main line of piles of peasants. And by the looks of it, doing so fairly effectively. Also keeping them back while we defend against the Fellbats, which have as usual landed upon our range units. And oh wow, look at that! The enemy direwolves try to rush through our line of the Holy Wardens of the Maison Tall. And once again go after our range units, but fortunately it looks like just the last of those dogs got clipped, and thusly were turned in such a way where they're pinned and the arrows are thunken into their backs, which works quite well for us. Our Grail Knights have also severely damaged that corpse cart, and it looks like it will be destroyed here by the peasants. And the AI really should have kept that back, as it's got plenty of reinforcements coming in and could have certainly made good use of those corpse carts. Still got a fair few units fighting over on the left flank, so with the skeleton warriors surrounding the crypt hulks, which in turn are surrounding our units of single entities. But we did move our units of Grail Knights in to help. And altogether we should be able to bring down these monstrosities. And of course, between Bane of the Undead and the Fay Enchantress's own Mortis Engine effect, we should be pretty darn good when blobbed up like this. So we got effectively two little mini Mortis Engine effects. Bane of the Undead being a little bit weaker than the Fay Enchantresses, but, you know, that makes sense. Alrighty, and it looks like the enemy lords and heroes are making their way forward as well. A Vampiress, very much quicker on her feet than any of the Necromancers are. And heads directly for the Fay Enchantress. But again, with the heals available to us, so we shouldn't have too much of a problem here. And the Vampire is on fire and banished and Grail banished all at once. In the meantime, one of the enemy Necromancers has drawn close enough, and we're going to use Bertrand the Brigand and his merry men to target him as best as they can. They're not going to do a crazy amount of range damage, because ranged lords and heroes pretty much never do, but they'll probably do a decent little bit. And as soon as the sort of piles of Graveguard and infantry that have reached our main line have been taken care of by our, by our range units, I guess, our range units can retarget the Necromancers. Or maybe even split to do both, as we do need to knock out the Necros as fast as possible. Either way, the bounce of power is at about 85% in our favor now, and the enemy is having a pretty bad time. The enemy's center line has, I would say, pretty much completely collapsed, but frankly, they never actually sent too many units to the center in this particular fight, opting instead to hit both right and left flank and leaving only a single unit or two to distract the units in the center, which is kind of interesting, as it's not something I would usually expect to see from the AI. Actually, some generally interesting behaviors from the AI in this particular fight, as once again we saw them sally out several times in the siege. Ooh, unfortunately for the poor Crypt Hulks, they're not having a good time, as they are getting focused down by the range units, who are able to fire at the taller units themselves. The Bowmen of Bergerac have also fired all of their shots, and doing a solid 15k damage, but have now been forced to close into melee. And by the looks of their stats at 47-41, though they have very low armor and their weapon strength is fairly low, they are decently statted enough to fight in melee and at least support against things like zombies and skeletons. We could simply back them off if they had to fight Graveguard instead. Anyway, with that, I do believe the enemy Necromancers are done and the enemy army begins to melt away. Looks like Bertrand still had about 20% ammunition himself remaining, but his merry men were also out. As in the heroes, not just the Bowmen of Bergerac. But I suppose that's why both Bertrand and his heroes have skills, I believe, that will increase our ammunition, which I'm sure will be needed. Anyway, with that, the battle is ours. A close victory this time, but another nice fight. And this time, the Ghost Gland Boreal is done. Alrighty, unfortunately I got a crash to desktop after that particular battle, so I had to redo that, battle and turn, though there was a little bit of auto-resolving there, just so I didn't have to refight it all, and we took a little bit of damage, but all good at the end of the day. And how are we here? So, Fay Enchantress did not quite reach rank 10, but it looks like Inez did, so for her, we'll immediately grab Arcane Wisdom, and I guess we'll need to level up at least one more time to get Muster the Farmhands. We're not going to follow around our main army until all the way to rank 30, so we'll grab Muster the Farmhands and then we will send her to sit in... Hello, what is this? Errantry against the Undead. By moonlit barrows they ride, sworn to shatter the unliving and let the ladies light banish the chill of death. Once errantry begins, there's no stopping it. Replenish 5% campaign movement range after winning a battle. So this is all the same. So Tomb King's Vampire Counts and Vampire Coast. Obviously, it's going to have to be Vampire Counts. Tomb Kings are nowhere near to us. And, well, there are Vampire Coasties down here, but they're too far. Definitely regular Vampire Counts. 5% campaign movement range after winning. 10% campaign movement range for armies. Free XP and a little bit of extra valor. I like it. I like it a lot. Mission issued. Win 5 battles against these guys. Alright, well, 1, 2. Hopefully they have... How many settlements do you have? 5. Well, isn't that perfect? So that should be nice, and we get a fairly decent reward out of it as well. I like it a lot. Definitely feels... would otherwise feel odd to have Bretonnia sans errantry. Now... Fay Enchantress, I would like you to move here. Also, I did notice that, I assumed that the spread the word stance would be like raiding and would in fact cause us some attrition, or not attrition, public order reduction in our own territory, but it doesn't, so I got worried about it for nothing, so we're good to be in spread the word, should we desire to do so. And in fact, because it gives income from all buildings, it may be then a good idea to use it on any lords like Inez here once they are ready to act as support lords or recruiter lords or whatever you have or have you. Oh, did I do the right or did I just forget? Oh no, I'm just gonna do the Dream of Hope. Well, you know what? We went for Wrathful, right? Yeah, we went Anger of the Fay. So I'm going to say Dream of Vengeance, because that sounds angrier to me, even though I feel like this is the better choice. And I don't remember whether I did or I didn't, but I suppose it doesn't matter. What does matter is 2 things. First of all, diplomacy. We should have reached, yes, more Wood Elf factions. And Talzin is definitely going to be the strongest, so if we have to choose which one to trade with, it's got to be Talzin. Like so. But we'll want the non-aggression pact with all of them as... Oh, this will give us a trade agreement as well. Nice.
Just so.
That's 1. Torgavan, you will not trade, but eventually I'm willing to bet we'll get some more trading partners out of them, and then we'll ignore Vizaya and everybody else, I do believe. Getting close to that defensive alliance. I was wondering whether we could declare war. We're not declaring war in Quinel. The other thing is, unfortunately, with that, folks, we are out of time this time, and I am going to have to call the episode here. Next time, our first errantry war begins as we go south of the Urana Mountains, and rather than going after the Yorks, go after the Ramateb dynasty. Well, we had to prepare our brigands to infest the mountains anyway, so not that big of a deal. We do have some more military structures to build in order to get those new units up and running, and as soon as that refugee influx disappears, we'll be able to start collecting income and should be able to afford some cheap peasants and thusly be able to split off a second stack. Though 2,000 upkeep has gotten surprisingly expensive here. I'm willing to bet that a lot of it is, yeah, the heroes. 357 and 408 for the 2 paladins. Yeah, we're just lucky that the Endesnay / our Grail Guardians serve the Fay Enchantress for free anyway. Like I said, out of time, more Bretonnia / Fay Enchantress to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold if you're into the double episode thing later in the week. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.